So we had a former NBA star, Charles Barkley, give his thoughts on teams that are tanking, either, probably deliberately. I think there are a few teams, this year that have tanked deliberately in the NBA, strategy wise, but we'll save that for a different discussion. Charles went on to say that teams that are tanking should get one lottery ball per, one ping pong ball in the lottery. Don't give teams with the worst record an advantage. He said that you should not be able to raise your ticket prices unless you're over 500, and that you can not protect picks, draft picks in trades. Evan, just what do you think about this? Is Charles right?
Well, and we'll get to that in a second for sure. I just want to say because we talk a lot about, and the Dodgers specifically, but on this show we've talked a lot about like we're sick of the same teams buying all the players and all that, and salary cap and all this, and like all these different sports. And why the salary cap's a good thing. We've described that a lot on this podcast, but I think it's fair, and we've mentioned this, but we haven't really gone into this to really hammer the owners on the bottom too, who use it as an excuse to be cheap, who use it as an excuse to tank. Like the whole myth of we're going to get young talent, we're going to tank is just stop it. Just again, there's been some successful teams, of course, the Thunder, for example, in the NBA, they only had two losing seasons. So that's not even what this topic's about. This topic's about teams who are consistently losing. So the Thunder barely even count with that. But we're talking about the teams that consistently lose. So the whole myth of we're gonna get young talent, it's like, wait, yeah, you told us that 5 years ago. So it's hard to believe that for sure. But yeah, it's a little bit sad. Like you got teams like the Orlando Magic, like I never hear about them. The Washington Wizards, never hear about them. The Charlotte Hornets, and again, I'm an avid NBA fan at best, but my point sort of still stands. Like the Bucks, you'd never hear about them if Giannis didn't come along. Like that's just how the NBA is. It's dominated by just a couple teams. So I love the thought. I'll dive into each category in a little bit, but I absolutely love the thought of fighting back against this. So shout out to Charles Barkley. I think he's got some good ideas. I'll give my thoughts specifically on them, but Jordan, what do you think? Yeah.
I agree with Charles here. I think that if you are deliberately tanking, I don't think you should be rewarded. I'll just give my quick thought here about the whole ping pong ball thing that he mentioned. Um, if you're going to give teams with the worst record a higher chance to land the number one overall pick, I'll just take this upcoming year, who I think is going to be the number one overall pick, AJ DeBonza out of BYU, who might be the best NBA prospect we've seen since LeBron James. He's that good. That's very high praise. But what I was going to get at was you should not reward teams for losing. If you're going out there and you are deliberately playing as bad as you can, number one, I think you're disrespecting the game of basketball. It's meant to show effort, all this stuff. So if you're going out there losing on purpose, I don't think you're upholding the integrity of the game. Past players would be, sort of kind of ashamed, be ashamed of today. And let me really quick just mention the load management when you see guys sitting out, um, you know, second nights of back to backs or whatever. Like, come on. So in some instances, you have people who, travel long distances to see, one guy play or whatever. And he's just sitting out because he doesn't want to play. Like, come on, what are we doing?
Yeah, isn't like Joel Embiid, isn't he sort of like the king of that? Like I've heard he did that a lot, but
I mean, he recently came off an injury, so I can understand that. But if you have almost no history and you're still doing the whole load management thing, I I don't know what to say.
yeah, I don't know what to say either. So okay, so specifically on the policies, the first one is the only, not that I'd have an issue with this. I totally support the whole like you can't raise ticket prices if you're below 500. I think that's a great idea. I just don't know how you would enforce that, like because it's not really a league-wide thing. It has to do with the stadium, and the stadium is open. For example, in Oklahoma City, it's like Paycom Center or whatever. So they technically control it a little bit, and the team controls it. So I don't know if it's just an NBA thing. I don't know the logistics of that if you could actually implement that, but if you can, absolutely, that's ridiculous. You should not be raising ticket prices when you're not putting a winning product on the field. or on the court. But the second two, absolutely agree with. One, lottery ball, even the playing field. Stop this. Remove pick protections. Those are crazy. Absolutely agree with the last two. But again, just good that we're having forces say, like, everyone's like, the teams at the top, they always are at the top, and it's like, okay, you can focus on that, but what about the teams at the bottom too? They're just as guilty, sometimes.
I know this is a little bit off topic, but we're still talking about the NBA here. I just want to mention if you want to win certain awards in the NBA, you have to play a certain amount of games per season, which I think is, BS. I think you have to play 65 games at least in order to win MVP or be qualified for it. Um, what if, what if something happened where, you couldn't play, but you're still putting up MVP type numbers? I don't think it's quite fair for the NBA to be like, well, no, you didn't play enough. Um,
Yeah,
the
I was just gonna say, Jordan, I think that's a little bit ridiculous. Like, if you want to put like say, like, just arbitrarily, you put it at like 45, right? Because that's a little over halfway of the season. Nobody under that's probably gonna win MVP. But like, because what if someone balls out and they only play 64 games? Well, by rule, they can't get it, right? So that's that. It's a what if scenario, but that is a little bit crazy, yeah. But
Yeah, so I don't know if the NBA has like certain rules in place where if something were like a specific thing were to happen, they could maybe lift that rule. But if they don't, then I definitely think that they should have that because there are some scenarios where some players cannot play at least 65 games, but if they're still playing at an MVP type level, they should get consideration for it. So I think that's just one thing that needs to be changed in the NBA.